Okay, so hello everybody. How is everybody tonight? It is our first event called Master Mondays, and we are so excited here. You can see in my background, it says John Jay Graduate Studies and John Jay Alumni, because we have an invitee called Crystal Charles with us, which is one of our distinguished alumnus that she finished the Masters in Public Administration. And we have our dear professor and director, Daniel Feldman, with us. So let's begin, because I know everybody is so excited. And let me begin introducing our Professor Dan Feldman. Professor Dan Feldman, he got an AB in Columbia College, and he have a Juris Doctor from Harvard Law School. He directs the MPA Inspection of Oversight program. He will tell us now what it is and what we have. And he have taught public management since 2010. He serves as an elected and appointment government for 34 years. And he just published a 6th book. The book is Administrative Law, The Sources and Limits of Government Agency. So we are so excited. He's also a fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration. Wow. Dr. Feldman, this is a great, great curriculum. I only read 3 lines. I cannot imagine reading the entire curriculum.
Thank you.
So please tell us about yourself, your journey. I mean, we are so excited to have you. I mean, you're a distinguished professor, and you're educating our students with all your experience.
Well, I'm pretty old, so if I tell you my journey, it's going to take too long. I'll summarize a little bit. I did spend almost all of my career in government as in elective office and also appointive office. Because of that, I had in the course of my government work, I did quite a few investigations fighting against waste, corruption, mismanagement. And so that helped prepare me to teach in that area. I also did quite a bit of policymaking. And so when I first started teaching full-time at John Jay in 2010, actually they had me kind of in both programs, the Public Policy Administration program and the Inspection and Oversight program. But they decided they needed me more in the Inspection and Oversight program. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I said when I started teaching full-time at John Jay, I started teaching at John Jay as an adjunct professor in 1977.
Wow.
Because while I was
That's
in
before
government,
somebody didn't board yet.
yeah, I'm well aware of that. But while I was in government, I taught as an adjunct, John Jay and other places, pretty much throughout my government career. So I've always had a toe in the academic world, but I plunged in, full time in 2010, and of course have been there since.
Wow, that's very nice to have you with all this experience. I'm pretty sure our students are learning a lot, because we really learn from the professor's experience. So let's now invite Crystal Charles. I'm so excited because when I read your little bio, I was like, wow, she's just amazing. She sent us, I asked him specifically only 3 lines, but only these 3 lines express how much you have advanced in your life. Crystal Charles is currently a policy analyst, focusing on child welfare at Shuyler Center for Analysis and Advocacy in Albany, New York. So you are right now in Albany. How's the weather? Probably cold like here. Crystal received a master's on public administrations and bachelor arts. So you're pure John Jay, because you did your master's and your bachelor's on John Jay College. She's a champion on the justice. So tell us, Crystal, how John Jay took you. Tell us about yourself. How do you suddenly become champion of the justice? Tell me about you.
Well, I've always kind of been public-minded and interested in government and how government works, and how people in underrepresented groups can get their voices heard by the people who can alleviate their concerns or issues. And so that's part of what kind of drew me to John Jay, the idea of, justice. And eventually, I think it was around like 2012, John Jay kind of rebranded into kind of multiple types of justice, not just criminal justice. And that was right when I graduated with my bachelor's. So I was happy to return in the master's program and really kind of learn the nuts and bolts and the how to actually make change and analyze policy to a certain end.
Ah, that's very interesting. You know, I also have a master in public administration. I did that in 1990 to 1992. That's when I left my country. My original country is Peru. So I moved from Peru to Mexico, did my master's. And I didn't know too much about what is public administration, but this is how people make those decisions, right? Because sometimes you decided, because in your case you say, well, now we don't have to be in criminal justice. There is other options. And then you choose master in public administration. So it depends, several things happen in your life when you make that decision. So Professor Feldman, tell me what is the components of these masters? What do you think attract somebody like Cristal to go and take that master?
Well, we, as you know, we have two different master's programs,
Yes.
and there's a lot of overlap. They're not completely different, but they have a lot in common. I will talk first about the one I know less about, which is the public policy administration. Ms. Charles can fill in what I leave out or the mistakes I make. But that is a program that really prepares you for high-level managerial positions in government, both policy making and policy implementation. When I say implementation, you know, sometimes people think, well, I have this wonderful idea, and maybe it is a good idea, but if you can't make it happen and get through the practical and political difficulties in making something happen, the good idea isn't worth very much. So learning how to make it happen is probably as important as anything. And so in the PPA program, we have courses in budgeting. I mean, you know, without the budget, I remember when I first got into New York City government a very long time ago, and one of the deputy mayors was giving us a lecture, and he was saying, all right, who's the most powerful person in government? The mayor. Yes. Okay. Who's the second most powerful? So people said the deputy mayor. He says, no, the budget director. Okay. The third most powerful. So again, people tried maybe a deputy mayor, a policeman. He says, no, the deputy budget director, and everybody down for all the most important were the budget people, because that's where the money is. And without the money, you can't do very much. So that's budgeting is one area. Policy analysis, all the steps of how you, not that it's ever guaranteed, but how you have the best chance at arriving at the policy that is most likely to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Organization theory, just to understand how, you know, both the formal and informal, you know, paths of power and influence in government. And Ms. Charles will fill in more. Let me move to the one that I direct, which is inspection and oversight. Actually, one of my predecessors as director of inspection oversight sometimes would say to the director of the public policy administration program, he says, my students will be watching your students, because, you know, we're there to make sure that there isn't waste, mismanagement, fraud, corruption, things like that. And so although a lot of the key courses are in both programs, the Fundamental 700 course, the Capstone course, the 715, the research course. The difference is in some of the other courses where, for example, where the PPA students do organization theory, our students do what we call bureau pathology. In other words, what are the things that go wrong with government agencies? So it's some of the same subject matter, but from a slightly different angle. And so our program really primarily prepares people, the inspection oversight program primarily prepares people to be watchdogs, or, you know, corruption fighters, or what you want to call it. However, I don't want to overstate the difference. Some of our inspection oversight people go on to managerial positions. Some of the public policy administration people actually go into oversight positions. So there's no, you know, impenetrable wall between the two. There is some overlap.
Wow, this is so interesting. I never imagined to have a master's focus on oversight and inspection. I think that's amazing, because people learn by doing it, but actually, you know, we have a actually focus on that. So I remember my first job once I finished my master in public administration was actually in budget. I was the budget director in the Mexican Department of Labor. And I remember, I said, oh my God, thanks God I learned about finances because it was a lot, manage a lot of money. So Crystal, tell us what was your favorite courses? What courses that you have take in the program you have used it now in your career? Tell us about your experiences.
It's funny that you mentioned the budgeting because I deal a lot with like the New York State budget in my work. A lot of our work kind of revolves around the New York State budget cycle. So I definitely remember that class, the like introduction to budgeting class, as kind of an eye opener as well, of just like how much money kind of states have to work with, but it goes in so many different buckets. And so there is kind of weight behind the kind of struggle that happens every year when it comes to funding certain programs. I think the program evaluation class is also very helpful, kind of just helping students get into the mindset of how do policies affect people over time. And it kind of puts you at odds with a maybe more political mindset, which is kind of maybe getting a policy passed by law or implementing it right away. But the evaluation, like over a period of time, can really show people how policy can then be improved or reformed at a later date. I think the last class that I was kind of made me enroll in the program to begin with was the policy analysis class. I was very excited, and I think the policy analysis class is what made me choose the management track as well. And I think I still use a lot of the readings and exercises and papers like in my daily work. So it's a very practical program that I still think about certain concepts and use them to this day.
Wow, that's good. Now, I have people asking questions in Facebook. I was reading one of the questions is, how did you got your job? How did you got the first interview? How did you are not in this position, Crystal?
It was 6 months of kind of applying for positions that I felt I was either qualified for or that felt relevant to what I learned, basically. So I think the master's program actually prepares you very well to be a policy analyst. And because I don't have much professional experience, I've spent most of my 5 years since graduating in another academic program. And so I only had about a year or two of experience, and it was mostly part-time. So because the program was so practical and put you in situations where you were kind of practicing what you would do on the job, I was already kind of familiar with the work I was going to do, even if I hadn't had a position in that type of job yet.
Wow. So this is excellent, because now I will ask Professor Feldman about the activities that they did in the masters that helps the student to contact the real world. What activities you do in the masters that you think this is beneficial for this?
We have a challenge there, because it is so helpful for students when they can have these real world experiences. Matter of fact, I myself remember back when I was a college student, one of my political science professors had been working in government, and he was able to bring so much more to it that I said to myself, I might want to go into the academic world one day, but first I want to do it so that if I have students, I can give them that benefit. But that's just having a profession. And by the way, quite a few of our professors do have that kind of background. But the opportunity for students actually to work in government is very valuable. The problem we have is that most of our students work full-time, and they are squeezing these classes into what time they have left. And often they have families to take care of too. So it's, in many cases, impossible for them to take on an internship, because the internships are, 20 hours a week. Where do you find 20 hours if you're working full-time and going to school, taking 3 or 4 courses and taking care of a family? So what we have been able to do is, first of all, we do have some students who are fortunate enough to be able to arrange internships, and that's great if they can do it. But what we've also been working on, especially in the past couple of years, is what we call mentorship programs. So that, for example, in the inspection oversight area, we are very fortunate that the Association of Inspectors General, which is a national organization, happens to be headquartered in our program.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And the directors, when we were still going to our offices, the director's office was like 40 feet from my office. So we have an ongoing program where various inspectors general around the country match themselves with our students. And although the student isn't physically working in the office, they are talking to these inspectors general throughout the year and getting a feel for what are the realities of that kind of work. And we recently gave out awards to the students and inspectors general who participated last year, and we're in the process of expanding it for this year. So that's one program. In the public policy administration side, it's not in place yet, but we are working with something called the Hayes Fellowship, the Frederick O'Reilly Hayes Fellowship. Hayes was a budget director under John Lindsay. And every year, rising managers or middle-level people in the New York City civil service, the Hayes board recognizes those who look like they're really rising stars, those who have headed up projects that are exciting, that really show star quality, that this person's going to be a real leader in city government. And so they and we are quite excited about the prospect of matching those Hayes Fellowship winners with our public policy administration students for a mentorship program that'll be parallel to the one we have in inspection and oversight.
Wow, so that's a great experience for the students and have these connections with the Hayes as well.
Yeah.
And what they do like a research?
Well, the students will develop whatever kind of relationship with the mentor that they wish, but the advantage of it is that it's possible. They can do it even while working full time and going to school. They're not committing themselves to showing up at some office 20 hours a week on top of what they're doing. So, it gets them familiar with the needs, the practices, the customs, the atmosphere of city government.
Excellent. So I was thinking, they keep sending me message from Facebook, like the one question they have is about work-life balance. And I was just thinking about your comment that some students work part-time or full-time. Krista, when you were a student, you were full-time students or part-time students? Part-time students.
I worked part-time. I started off kind of just working at an office in John Jay, and then I started doing internships. So I did a summer into fall at the EOC. And then I finished my last year doing an advocacy fellowship.
You did in the internship in the EOC?
Yeah.
In which EOC?
It was in the city, Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, okay. So I know a lot of people in the EOC. I was before, that was my past job. I was dean of the EOCs. Yes. So you probably have a lot of fun. So when one of the questions is how do you balance, when you're doing your internship, studying, and how do you balance all these times in order to, to succeed as a student?
I tended to always have some kind of planner going with like it's mostly time management. So I tended to prioritize getting my assignments done and my internship. And the internships tend to be flexible because they know that you're a student. So for the most part, I didn't have too much of an issue because I think I was only full-time like during the summer since there weren't any classes. I think I had maybe one class during a summer. And so it tends to kind of equal out that classes and a part-time internship are about 40-ish hours of work each week. I, was single, no family to take care of or anything like that. So that took a lot off of my plate.
That's good. That's good. So okay, so let's let me check. I'm going now. I enjoy it so much that I'm forgetting what we so now that we know that we have students part-time, full-time, and we have all these services that we integrated, we actually doing more integration activities for the students. We have a career advisors, academic advisors. So for the first year, when you are a brand new student, Professor Feldman, what you would advise a person who just come to the program? What they have to bring to the table?
Well, obviously we expect the student to take their studies seriously, and that goes, I think that's obvious. But what may not be obvious is something else. Some students come to us thinking, well, I'll get this MPA, and then after I have the MPA degree, I'll get a good job. It's not so simple. What I would urge any new student is begin right away to think about where you want to be, where you want this MPA to take you, what kind of government job, or even not government jobs, because some of our students go to private sector, but what kind of job are you interested in? And talk to the career advisor early. Don't wait till you're here for a year and a half. Right now, begin thinking about and planning how you're going to use this to further your career. Because if you wait till you're almost finished, you're going to be at a disadvantage. There are things you can do in the interim, the way you're going to plan your school schedule that will help prepare you for what you want to do. But you have to think in advance that way. So don't wait. That's the thing I would emphasize. Don't wait. Start now thinking about where you want to be when this is over.
Also, like they can look for mentors, or like Crystal that is going to internships, activities that they start connecting with the field, right?
Yes.
How do you connect it with the field initially, Crystal, for the using with the internships or with a career advisor? How do you decide that this is what I want to do when you start looking for a job?
My first year, I actually, I think I learned of the program through the student association. So at my time, there was an MPA student association. And so I came in as the secretary, and I eventually became the vice president. And so that was a good way to kind of network with kind of my fellow students and also any speakers that we were able to schedule with events, and then also kind of practice that type of management. And it also kind of build confidence. So I was able to apply to certain internships and other opportunities later down the line because I had at least that kind of extracurricular experience.
That's the key word. Crystal mentioned one of the key words is called networking. So she went to the student government and start connecting with people. I mean, if you come to a master's and don't plan to talk to anybody or any study, you really need to start connecting, because that's the life of the connection. Now, let me just do a little parenthesis, and I want to talk about our programs, because some of you probably asking what other programs you have in graduate studies. I will share my screen for a second, and I will go to all the programs that we have. We have 15 masters so far. We have criminal justice. By the way, yesterday I learned that John Jay is #1 of the School of Criminal Justice in the country. So you will see that in the website. We have economics. We have forensic mental health counseling, forensic psychology, human rights, which is relatively new, international crime and justice. And some classes are online. You know, the Masters in Public Administration is also online. So if you cannot come to the classes, you can be online. If you're in Albany like Crystal, you can still do your Masters. We have Masters on Science. We have Digital Forensic and Cybersecurity, very interesting. Emergency Management, Forensic Science, Protection Management, Securities Management. I mean, it's amazing the different kind of Masters that you can go and select. And then we are now talking about the public administration. It's our largest program in the country. Actually, we have the largest program in the country. And we have 2 masters, inspection oversight and public policy and administration. And we also have dual degrees. If you are in your bachelor's and you want to move forward and reduce the time of the studies, you can have forensic psychology and law, and public accountability and law. And we have another more online program. So you have options to do online or in person. Did you did online or yours, Crystal? Oh no, if you were in the graduate consular, you probably were in person, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was so much fun for you. Now let's go to your last words. What would be, Dr. Feldman, Professor Feldman, your last advice for our Facebook fans?
Well, our program, I think, it's listed in the top 20% among the best MPA programs in the country by U.S. News and World Report. We have in some years came in #1 in the country in social equity and in diversity. One year we won the award in both of those areas, and it's an outstanding program. The inspection oversight program is, I think, unique. I don't think there are other programs like that. And so I can tell you that I have enormously enjoyed being part of the program because of the students who I think are terrific, and because of my colleagues who I also like very much. And I think any student coming into the program is likely to have a similar experience. Now, of course, I'm a professor and they're a student, but it's that kind of program. So I recommend. Well, obviously, I recommend it. I'm biased, but I've
put your heart and soul. You need to recommend it. Plus, you can see the results. I mean, we are talking about results.
We're talking about results, and we get very good results. And so, I mean, I've actually taught in other MPA programs around the city, and they're perfectly fine, but ours is the best.
That's good. So, Crystal, what will be your last words for our Facebook audience on future MPAs, or people who are looking for a job right now?
I think the key is just to not give up and to have a vision of what you want when it comes to your career. I know for a very long time that I wanted, a policy analyst position. And so that's why I entered, this program and why I chose the track that I did. And so when I finally was able to enter this position, I'm actually gonna have my 1-year anniversary here in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so when I was finally able to start this position, I felt confident that I had the training to do it and do it well, and also learn on the job on top of the foundation that John Jay gave me. So I'm like very proud to be an alumnus of John Jay, and I'm also always happy to hear when I say John Jay, people will know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you know what? And we are so proud of you and your success. You know, when I read what all the things that you have done, I was so excited to meet you. And thank you very much. And I will say goodbye to everybody. And let me just, bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
so I disconnected already. Thank you very much. I hope it went well. I don't know. I will see it in the video, but I really appreciate it. I think